From the staff of Fitchburg Access Television, welcome to another episode of North Central Journal, featuring the cities and towns, the people, and the events here in North Central Massachusetts. Hello again, I'm Scott May. Welcome to North Central Journal. And it is my pleasure to introduce you to Ashley Green, who is a professional photographer and the official team photographer for the Worcester Red Sox. We will refer to them as the Woo Sox from here on out. Ashley, welcome to North Central Journal.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to get into a lot of topics here, but I want to begin with kind of your background a bit. Grew up in Fitchburg public school student all the way through?
All the way through. I've only spent 2 years of my life not living in Fitchburg. So
really?
Through and through, yeah. Fitchburg public schools. I went to Fitchburg High. I went to Fitchburg State as well. And then I'm back.
So you bleed red and gray then?
Yeah, I do. It was always a little hard to play impartial for the Thanksgiving Day game when I'd be covering that.
Now, how did you get into photography? You're a professional photographer. You have your own photography business.
Yep.
How did you get into it?
It really I feel like I've just always been doing it. When I was growing up, my mom would always have like film cameras laying around the house. My grandma would always be snapping like candid family photos, which of course we hated at the time, but we cherish them now. So I just feel like I always started picking up a camera from like a really young age. And then I guess once I had to start actually deciding like what to do with my life, I didn't really know I didn't really have a path. I didn't know what you could do with photography or like how to make a career out of it. Mm-hmm. But I figured I would try to figure it out, so.
Were you exposed to photography in school, or is it something that you just pursued later on?
Yeah, not too much in school.
Yeah.
I do think Fitchburg High has a little bit more of like a photo program now where a class kids can take. I've heard a little bit about that, but when I was there wasn't too much in terms of photo classes, but I went into it for college. So all of my college classes were focused around photography.
Now, in my illustrious professional career, part of it was a broadcast journalist. You were a photojournalist.
Yep.
With the Worcester Telegram and the Fitchburg Sentinel.
Yeah,
right?
I started for Fitchburg State. You have to do a college internship, and kind of like I said before, I didn't really know what you could do with a photography career. And they were like, well, why don't we ship you down the Sentinel? That's your hometown newspaper. You can go see if you like that. So I did a summer internship there. I kind of ended up there at the right time. Their sister paper is the Lowell Sun, mm-hmm. and they ended up needing a part-time weekend person right after my internship ended. So I was able to get hired over there. And then I spent a little more than a year there doing weekends while waitressing during the week over at the Fay Club. And another photographer that taught me so much early in my career, Brett Crawford, he was leaving the Sentinel. So I was able to kind of come back, take his job, spent I think like 4 or 5 years here doing that, and then headed up to Worcester for a job at the Telegram.
Now, as a photojournalist, you're the photographer, you're also the reporter, correct? You're wearing both hats.
Yeah.
What's that like?
It's crazy.
I imagine so.
You do work with a reporter. A lot of times I would go to stories together with a reporter, or I'd go to, I worked the night shift in both of my jobs at the newspapers. So I was always covering high school sports and stuff like that. So often I'd have a sports reporter with me. But a lot of times, there'd be crazy moments where you'd hear something on the scanner and you might not have time to contact someone before you head over there.
Yeah.
I remember when I was still at the Sentinel, there was a string of fires like near downtown. And I looked out my apartment window one night, like last time, just kind of scrolling Twitter before going to bed. And I saw that there was like a fire downtown and all this stuff, and I looked out my window and I could see like the flames coming out of an apartment building.
Wow.
So I was like, well, I guess I gotta get out of bed and like can't pretend that this isn't happening.
Yeah.
So then it's a matter of contacting a reporter and trying to get someone to come down and, get a little more information than just the photos.
We mentioned that you're the official team photographer of the Woo Sox, the Worcester Red Sox. How did that happen?
Yeah, so my last year at the Worcester Telegram was the Woo Sox first year in Worcester. So it kind of overlapped a little bit. And so I got to spend, like I said, I've always been the night person, which kind of just lucked me into that place a little bit, I guess. So I got to spend the first year with the team as a photojournalist still. And then after that season ended was kind of when I knew I was burning out of journalism a little bit and ready to take a step back. So I left journalism at the end of baseball season. And then by the time the next baseball season came around, the team was like, we need you here. We would love to hire you. And so then I was able to go into the team photographer role instead of the journalist role, which is totally different.
But it helps, what does help in your job is that you are a huge baseball fan, correct?
Yeah.
So it must be kind of cool to be able to do what you are professionally geared to do. And it's in sports.
It is very cool. It was always kind of hard to be the journalist side of me and pretend, you're supposed to be impartial and not pick sides. And I was like, well, I'm rooting for the Red Sox. People know that. But now that I work with the team, it's nice because I can just be a fan of my team. But it's cool because I grew up in a baseball family. I remember watching like the 2004 World Series on my grandpa's floor, like watching the TV all night, and my family went into the parade that year. And so it's been very cool to, sometimes you kind of like pinch yourself, like we get to watch these players and then the next day they might be up in Boston with the Red Sox. So it's very cool to see them come and go like that.
And you are a Nomar Garcia Parra fan, correct?
Yes.
So 2004 was, I was
Heartbreak.
too. Yeah, I was too. And it was kind of great that they won the World Series,
Yeah.
but Nomar wasn't there.
I remember my best friend's dad called me to break the news to me. He would always razz on me that, I love Nomar so much. And he'd always be like, they're going to trade him someday. Like, don't love him forever. And then he called me and I totally thought he was kidding. I was like, no, there's no way they would trade him. And then I found out, and I was devastated.
Now, sports photography, is it safe to say or fair to say that it's a kind of a male-dominated field? Yes?
Yeah,
so
definitely.
what is that like being a female in a male-dominated
Yeah.
category?
It's definitely getting more diverse, which is very cool to see. When I started in journalism, I feel like a lot of times I would be at a game by myself, like the only female, and I'd be surrounded by a bunch of guys, which I feel like I fit in with perfectly. Like, I don't mind that, but it's always very nice to be surrounded by women and feel like you're, around your equals and everything. And I will say the people in Worcester are amazing. I work with more women there than I have in my entire career. Our social media director is a woman, and a lot of my direct bosses are females, and it's just very cool to have that because I've never had that before in my journalism career.
Now, are there any obstacles that you've had to, or hurdles that you've had to jump in your career because it is sort of a male-dominated field?
Yeah, I think, just standing up for yourself, I guess, and just finding your own voice. And, sometimes you have to just speak up for yourself and be a little loud and make sure that you're heard. But otherwise, yeah, I don't know.
What about your favorite experiences as a photographer, whether it's in sports or just through your career? What do you what comes to mind when I say that?
Yeah, it's hard to even nail stuff down just because I do so many diverse things in my career, and it's always very cool for me when my clients hire me as their engagement photographer and then their wedding photographer, and then sometimes they contact me and they tell me they're pregnant before they've even told anyone else in their lives. Like, I almost have goosebumps because it's very cool that I get to know all of that stuff and they trust me to be there for like all the little moments in their lives. And then I guess on the sports side, we got to please the Fitchburg people. I've always loved the Thanksgiving game. It was always very cool for me to come back and cover that and see it from the outside, from not being a student anymore. And then the Woo Sox, in 2022, I believe, we had our first ever combined no-hitter with a few different pitchers. And that was very cool because that was a big moment in history for us. And for us to be able to capture that, I think we were like as excited as the players were as like a social media and content team, you know, counting down to each last out and just waiting to see if they could do it. And the last out was actually, it wasn't even a strikeout. It was a fly out to left, and our player, like our left fielder, dove for the ball and caught it. So we were holding our breath like right until the last minute
Wow.
there,
Yeah.
trying to see if they could do it. And so then getting all those photos and getting to like capture history like that was really cool.
Did you have an opportunity to get to Fenway for the Thanksgiving game last fall?
I did.
Yeah.
It was very cool. That's actually the first time I've photographed at Fenway, not as just like a fan in the stands. So that was very cool for me because it was like my hometown team, but it was also Fenway. It was very cool.
Yeah.
Very impressive that they did that.
Now, when did you branch out into a freelance career to create your own photography business? When did that happen?
I feel like it happened gradually and also kind of all at once.
Yeah.
It started really with just friends asking me, you know, like, we just got engaged. Would you mind taking some photos of us? We are going to have a baby. Would you mind coming over for some photos? And then it just kind of snowballed from there. Definitely didn't always know what I was doing at the beginning, but we figured it out. And yeah, now we're here.
Now, you, as a freelance photographer, you do a wide variety of things. You mentioned weddings,
Yep.
someone who's having a baby. What else I have on my list here? Engagements, things like that. What would you say is your favorite of those, or something I missed on the list?
It's hard to say. People
Yeah.
always ask me too, between like baseball and my business, what is my favorite thing to do? And I'm always like, well, I can't choose. That's why I'm in this predicament where I'm kind of 50-50 in both worlds. But I do love weddings so much. It's so fun to go to a wedding every weekend or a couple every weekend. It's like a big party. It's people's best day of their lives. Everyone's so happy, and it's just so cool to be able to document that and be there for all those little moments, and then be at like a fun party at the end too.
Now, were you the photographer at your wedding, or?
I was not. I know. I got that question a lot.
What would be a dream, if you, a dream photo gig? What would that be? Something you've not done that you would love to do?
I mean, I guess when I was a little younger, before I even really knew that the Woo Sox were going to move to Worcester, we could have never predicted that. I always did say I wanted to be the Red Sox photographer, or be in a clubhouse for like a World Series celebration. Like, that's always seemed so cool to me.
Yeah.
I will say, like, I feel like now that I'm in my mid-30s, life in Boston, I'm like, okay, not doing that. But that was definitely always the dream, and I think having like a small part of that being in Worcester is very cool.
Now, does the Worcester gig get you into Boston occasionally at
Not
Fenway?
so far, but
No?
we do always talk about, I don't know how closely you follow the minor leagues, but we have a bunch of huge name prospects coming up this year.
Yeah.
They actually probably won't even be starting in Worcester. They'll be starting in Portland at AA.
Right.
But as we kind of follow their careers into Worcester, and then if any of them go up to Boston, we would love to always like follow them up for like an MLB debut or something. Would be very cool to follow them for the day. So that's the hope, that we'll get some of these guys up there this year.
Now, through all of this, and all you have going on, how do you balance your professional career and your personal life?
That's a good question.
Or don't you?
I'm not sure if we're balancing it well, but we're figuring it out. Small things, just like not really working on the weekends anymore, unless it's a wedding. Little things like that. This year I'm trying really hard to set a day of the week aside, so maybe Fridays I won't work as much, and then I can have a little bit more of like a family and friend day. So we're learning a little bit more every year about how to do that.
Now, if someone watching this is thinking about a career themselves in photography, or maybe branching out to their own business, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, I mean, for photography especially, just pick up any camera you have access to. I hate to say iPhones, because obviously cameras are very important and they do a little different than an iPhone, but you can do so much with an iPhone these days and start taking photos that way. I feel like it's a lot more accessible, even just when I was a kid. Just start shooting like all the time, anything, your family, your friends, go to like a high school sports game. there's a lot of opportunities to just kind of start doing it. And with social media, you can start to get your name out there a lot more than, I feel so old, but even when I was a kid, like Twitter wasn't around and Instagram wasn't around,
Right.
and people are making a name for themselves just by getting their work on there.
Now, I did notice in my research that Chris Sale was rehabbing with
Yes.
the Woo Sox, and you had to let him in. He was locked out of something, and
Yes.
you had a key or a card key or something,
So what's
right?
funny about that is I actually didn't even work for the team at the time. I was a reporter, so I did not have a key to Polar Park. I do have a key card to Polar Park now, but I did not then. So somebody that worked for the team kind of handed me their card just because I happened to be the closest person. I was trying to get one last photo of him going back into the clubhouse, and all my pictures of him standing there like, guys, I can't get in, and no one really knew what was happening for a second. Before I even knew what was happening, there was a key in my hand, and I was the person to let him in, and somebody grabbed a clip, and it was all over Twitter, and that's my my claim to fame now, I guess.
It must be kind of neat, though, when the Red Sox are rehabbing someone, they have to play a few games down at AAA before they come back
Yeah.
up to the team, and you get to interact with them,
It's
right?
always very cool for us. There's a lot more buzz around the ballpark on those days.
Yeah.
Baseball's a long season, so it gets to be long. So it's always nice when there's something fun like that to break up the season a little bit. It's cool for us, cool for the fans, all around like really cool experience to be part of.
Now, the Woo Sox have been sold. There's a new ownership.
Yep.
I'm sure you've had some interaction, but what are some of the expectations going forward with new
Yeah.
owners?
Nothing really changes from a fan perspective at all.
Yeah.
We'll have some new features to the ballpark this year. We're always looking to get new things for fans and stuff like that. So really nothing changes from a fan perspective at all, which is great because I know a lot of people were concerned that they'd already be moving out of Worcester and stuff like that, and there's no reason to panic. So everything will be the same.
And Polar Park is actually went last year for the first time, a couple of times
Yeah.
last year, and it's beautiful
It
and
really
it's
is.
comfortable and it ain't expensive like Fenway.
Yes.
And the food's good too.
Yes, it's really cool. They have all mostly local vendors that bring
Yeah.
in all the food. So if there's a Worcester restaurant you love, they might be in the ballpark for the week or for the season, which is a really cool aspect for fans, I think. And yeah, it's kind of cool. I forget sometimes how awesome it is that I get to be there every day. And we take it for granted for sure when you're there every day. But it's an amazing ballpark. It's awesome to be there all the time. It rains a little bit more than I would like. I don't know what happens in Worcester. We get a lot of rainouts and a lot of rain delays. People know all about it now. But yeah, looking forward to the new season for sure.
Now, thinking of parking, as an employee, you probably have special parking areas, or do you have to use the public parking as well?
You would think, but being in the city, it's a little hard. I
Yeah.
mean, if you think about Boston, there's not a lot of parking there. Worcester's a small scale version of that. So, but everything is so close. It's very easy to walk from any of the garages, which is
Yep.
nice. Very easy to get to, so it's not too bad.
Well, we want to get some information about if people want to contact you, if they have questions about photography, if they have questions about you professionally, how do they go about doing that?
Sure. I would say the place I show up the most is definitely Instagram. My Instagram is Ashley Green Photography. And then I'm actually working on revamping my website right now. It's been kind of stagnant for a few years, so we're working on that. And it's ashleygreenphoto.com. And then I think it's just Ashley Green Photography on Facebook as well.
So when do you hit the ground running for the new Red Sox, Woo Sox season?
2 weeks from yesterday.
Yeah.
We're getting there. It's coming up quick. We're very excited, but it's coming quick.
So the days must be going by rather quickly then.
Yes,
as
we're
you
on a
come up to that, huh?
countdown.
Yeah.
So
And what is the first day of work like when you go in to start the season?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
So the first big thing we have next week is called Media Day. It's a big day for us to take a bunch of portraits of all the players. We've had a lot of turnover this offseason, so a bunch of new players, a bunch of players coming up from the AA. And so gives us a good, chance to get to know them before the season starts, but also it's a time for reporters, TV, everyone to come in, interview the guys a little bit, get to know them, make their introductions before the season starts. So that'll be next week, and then the week after we'll have opening day. which starts pretty early for us. We shoot
Yeah.
the sunrise at Polar Park on opening day now. So we're up pretty early. We shoot the sunrise. We have a big staff meeting. We do everything we can to possibly prepare. And then first pitch will be at 3:05.
Well, we're looking forward to not only the Woosok season, but you being there and reporting back to us, and perhaps coming down and spending some time with you down at Polar Park.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a really nice summer, hopefully, better than last summer.
Ashley, thank you very much. A pleasure talking with you.
Thank you so much.
In 2023, the Oakmont Regional Baseball team became Division III state champions, winning the title in 12 innings over Medfield at Polar Park in Worcester. Head coach Tim Caouette, his coaches and players have been honored several times since by the Worcester Red Sox, the Boston Red Sox, and the New England Revolution, and by the state legislature. But another honor has come to Coach Caouette. He has been selected by the Massachusetts Baseball Coaches Association as the Massachusetts Baseball Coach of the Year. And we are fortunate to have an interview with Coach Caouette and a few of his players, written and produced by Nola Patty of Oakmont Regional, with the support of the Ashburnham Westminster Community Media Access Station. Take it away, Nola.
When you think of the words devotion and loyalty, the history of the Caouette name resonates in the minds of many. Growing up in Westminster, Massachusetts, he has always made it a point to give back to those who gave so much to him. Whether a student-athlete, a teacher, or being awarded the Frank Carey Coach of the Year, Tim Caouette has widely impacted his community.
Obviously we have class with him because he's one of our teachers, so I think that helps us a lot as we get to talk to him in school.
It just makes it so that it's fun to play for him. He lets us do that however we want.
I think he just has an overall really well understanding of our knowledge as baseball players and his as well.
I wish I had the money to print out, probably about 5,000 of these, because to me this is really a community award,
The Frank Carey Award is given to a varsity coach who has grown the game of baseball in their community. Caouette's enthusiasm and genuine love for the game has been the driving factor of what makes Oakmont baseball what it is today.
This was the culmination of years and decades of efforts by Little League coaches, by people who ran clinics, by AAU coaches, by every person who had a role in the success of our athletes deserves this. This to me it's less about me in any way, shape, or form, and it's really about all the support that all of my athletes have gotten for the last 12, 13 years of their playing careers. I've just been so fortunate and lucky to have such a great athletic director in Eric Dolly, such a great superintendent in Todd Stewart, such a great administration, and Jeff Lazat and Brian Cody, just everybody, all our parents, our fans.
Looking back, there were many hands that guided Coach Caouette throughout his career. Whether a teacher, coach, or parent, he doesn't credit just one, but has benefited from all.
One of my earliest memories at Dennis Driscoll Park, I must have been either 4 or 5 years old. I used to tag along to practice with him when I was little, and I remember they were doing some drill, and the drill wasn't going as he had envisioned, and he got a little frustrated, and I remember looking up to him and telling him that he was doing the drill wrong, and that it wasn't the kid's fault, that it was his fault, and that someday I was going to take his job, and then I would tell him how to do it right.
You don't have to be perfect. If I think he can help us, then we'll move on.
it's funny because I do remember distinctly that, and telling him that one of the dream jobs that I had for when I became an adult was I wanted to be the baseball coach here. My dad was the head coach and coached me all through high school, and he stepped down again in 2000 after I graduated to come watch me play in college. My dad went to Assumption, graduated from Assumption, and it was interesting in the college search because I don't want to say he steered me away from Assumption, but I think out of the schools that recruited me pretty heavily, he wasn't really pushing me to go to Assumption. I just know he was really proud of that.
When it was time to start thinking about becoming a collegiate athlete, there were many factors that went into picking a school, but ultimately, the Caouette name was represented at Assumption University once more.
The two coaches that really influenced me there, three coaches really that I played for, that I have a deep respect for, were Jim Vale, Joe Texera, and Ed Darcy. And each of them really brought something different to me as a player. Jim I really liked his tenacity and the way that he treated us as men. Joe Ruth, who I played for 10 years for a member of a semi-pro team, the Lunenburg Phillies. He was another Oakmont connection. He was the second baseman at Oakmont after my dad graduated here. So he was a former Spartan. And so he provided me the opportunity to play in meaningful baseball games after my college career. He imparted, 8 decades of wisdom, and really just a place to play. While I was teaching at Gardner and still, chasing a dream.
It is clear that Coach Caouette has been influenced by many. His appreciation is shown and felt through his coaching style.
On the field, he does the same thing. He lets us play. He lets us play free. A lot of coaches kind of want to control and act like they're playing the game, but he trusts us. Trust is a big thing from him. I mean, he trusts all of us.
I think that just letting us play, and he'll always come to us before he makes any decisions that he knows are going to affect the game. He's really calm and collected. So, yeah, I think that's really what makes him a great coach.
He doesn't have too much of an ego. He lets us play the game how we want to play, and it's not always about how he wants us to play. He'll let us do what we want pretty much.
After defeating the #1 seed, the Spartans were on their way to Polar Park to compete in their first ever state title game.
One of the things that's been so special about this group of kids, the degree of trust that we have in each other is unlike anything I've ever experienced as a player or a coach, and I can only hope to experience it again. I don't think that any of us in our dugout doubted for a second, as ridiculous as it sounds, that we were not going to win that game. Ben Forbes comes up in that situation after finding his batting gloves, which had been hidden on him in the dugout, and we were kind of scrambling, and he gets up and sees the first pitch that he got, and he sends it into center field for a tie game. And now we're down to our last out in the state title game. The kids we're still laughing and joking around. And it's not that we weren't focused, it's that we just completely believed in that moment that we were going to win. And it felt like that the whole season. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank my own family, my wife Jessica and my kids Ronan and Kaya, and how supportive they've been for everything Oakmont baseball, since I've been back here. Greg Picusi, who's like my fourth father, who I've now coached with for 19 seasons. And one of my former coaches, Lincoln Stiles, who's our JV coach, and a lifelong friend of mine, Justin Nussey, whose father, Scott, played high school baseball with my father. Assistant coaches are what really make, a program go, and I have the best.
After 12 innings of play on a rainy June afternoon and decades of anticipation, the state championship trophy was finally on its way home to 9 Oakmont Drive.
I think, through the wisdom and the passage of time, I think I can appreciate how much more deeply the efforts and the success and the road and the path to the state title than I might have been able to as a 17 or 18-year-old kid.